things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for joining me, Singh, on Positive Minds on the Singh channel. Positive Minds is a program on which I bring on experts and professionals and inspirational people who give us some great advice and tips about the amazing work they are doing out there. Just in case you're wondering what these banners are at the back, it was my daughter's birthday the other day. She was 13. During my childhood, when I was 7, 8 years old, I suffered a lot of bullying, racism. Unfortunately, we were brought up in an area that was surrounded by racism. And I never really thought I'd make it to 13, to tell you the truth, let alone have a daughter whose birthday I'll be celebrating when she reaches 13. During that time, I was very unfortunate because I only wished I could have seen one anti-bullying poster in my school, someone who I could have contacted to get some help and support, but there weren't none. But I'm glad to say today in the United Kingdom and around the world, we have so many amazing charities that are formed and are there to help children. Private and confidential help is provided. And one of those charities is called Childline. And Childline is a UK-based charity. And today with me, I have a Childline service manager, Anna Krala. Anna, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. Nice to meet you.
You're welcome, you're welcome. Now, Anna's coming on our show today because she's going to share some amazing advice and information for everyone out there, parents, children. So, Anna, what are your responsibilities within Childline, please?
I'm the Childline service manager for the service based in Manchester. We're actually based in Salford Keys. My role is to just manage the service, the base, looking after all the supervisors, the paid staff, operationally making sure that we have enough volunteers to cover all the shifts, because we are 24/7 answering contacts from young people. Health and safety, very important now, as you know, as we know, and just the general overseeing to make sure that the service is operational.
Excellent. So, Anna, what is Childline and why was it formed originally? Could you please share this with the viewers, please?
Well, Childline is a confidential service for young people who want to talk to somebody, who want to contact anyone other than maybe a family member. For whatever reason, they might not want to talk to somebody in the family. We have a phone line, we have an online service, we have a one-to-one chat service. It was formed over 30 years ago, actually 34 years ago now, by Esther Ranson. And she started the service because she recognised that there are many young people out in the community who are struggling and have no one to talk to when they've got some problems, and so she started the service, I say 34 years ago, and here we are today. With a wonderful service throughout the country. We've got 12 bases now who operate 24/7, and young people can contact in confidence and talk to our counsellors any time of the day in many different ways.
I mean, and as I spoke at the start of the show, I said that, at that time I remember there was hardly any anti-bullying posters or Childline posters which I could contact for help. And it's so nice to know that the help is available out there. Also now with technology, we also have your amazing website, and it's so easy to use. Could you please tell me a bit about your website, please, Anna?
The website, yes, you're right, it's wonderful, and it's there all the time. It's one click, and there are many different platforms that young people can choose to look into. Well-being, bullying, advice on current issues such as COVID-19. We have an art box if young people find it difficult to to talk. They can draw pictures and express their feelings. There's a message board so young people can talk to each other on the website. There's an Ask Sam, so they can actually ask specific questions, and those questions will be answered. And I say there's lots of different forums where young people can look for information and get some self-help. Or ask questions about how can we contact somebody to talk to in Childline. Lots of health and well-being toolkits, hints and tips for young people to access.
Excellent, excellent. So there you have it. Anna speaking about the Childline website, which is easy to access, and it's so much available on there. So many great services available on there. You spoke about COVID-19 over there, Anna. June lockdown. How has it been? I mean, I know Childline is a service that a charity which receives phone calls from children. What's the rate of phone calls been during the lockdown? Have they increased? Have they decreased?
It's difficult to tell at the moment because, unfortunately, because of the social distancing and lots of our staff and volunteers, have chosen to stay at home, which is completely understandable. We haven't been able to operate the 24/7 like we have been doing, over the many years. But since lockdown, since March, we've actually taken over 19,000 contacts from young people, which is absolutely incredible. Our staff and volunteers that have been coming in have managed to engage with young people during the lockdown, and that is via phone calls, one-to-one chats, or by responding to emails that young people send in.
Excellent, excellent. That's amazing. That's amazing, and that's great work from Childline. And I'm so glad, like I said before, that there are charities out there for children who are suffering from bullying, depression, neglection. It's so nice to know that you guys, even despite lockdown happening out there, what's happening around the world, you guys are still there, just that phone call away to support these children. How can parents, guardians, and teachers support Childline? How can we help Childline, Anna? Is there any way we can support you?
There's lots of different ways, actually. I mean, we are constantly recruiting volunteers. As I say, we wouldn't be able to operate at all if it wasn't for the volunteers that we have. And we're recruiting now. As I said, we've got 12 bases, and all the bases at the moment are, even in the lockdown, recruiting, interviewing. We've got training sessions on, so that we can train more volunteers. We can go out and fundraise, because obviously we need to fund Childline. We need to continue to do that. So it's really important, that we have people on board that can help us with that fundraising. And again, it's also important to support young people to encourage them as well to use Childline. A lot of parents do say to their children, well, go on the website, because the information that we do have is child friendly. We even have an under 12 website which uses a different language, so the younger young people can have their conversations and learn and explore, and it uses a different language, a softer language, for the younger minds. But volunteering, absolutely, definitely is the top of our list constantly, and even more so now when we are restricted with the numbers that we have coming into the base.
Excellent, thank you. Anna, the other thing I was thinking of was that sometimes when a child wants to phone up Childline, I've spoken to a few children. Some of the concerns they have had sometimes is that if they've got any issues they want to talk to Childline about, and the parents might find out, they might get in trouble. Why'd you phone Childline up? Or parents might find a telephone number on the phone bill and think, why are you finding another? How can a child who wants to contact Childline get over these hurdles?
Well, first of all, if a young person contacts Childline by phone, by their mobile phone or any other device. It is completely confidential, and that phone number will not appear on any bill. So, young people need to be reassured that the phone number for Childline will not appear on a bill. The website, if a young person clicks onto the website, if they feel that they need to close down the website quickly because they might not want anybody to see that they're, looking at the website, exploring, looking for information, it's an easy one click and the website will close. So it's a very easy click, and it removes from the screen, and then you can quickly come back onto it again. Because we do realise that young people do come to us who could be in very, very difficult situations, who are not able to talk to parents for whatever reason. They're not able to talk to their friends, or even their siblings, or any other family member. So we do provide a confidential and a private space for them to come to, and we do reassure young people that it is confidential to them only.
Excellent, excellent. Because to me, Childline is like a backbone. Because today we have stuff in schools that we never had during my time in the 1970s. We should have
Yeah.
school counsellors and teachers you can approach, and parents. Now that helps the children out there with the information it's given me, Diana. Because if they've tried the teacher, they've tried the school counsellor, they've tried the parents, and sometimes if a child reaches a brick wall, they know they can go on the internet, contact Childline and pick up the phone and get the help. And it's totally private and confidential, as Anna's just said, and the number will not show up on the bill. So that's amazing, because all you children out there, if you are suffering from any neglect, anti-bullying, just pick up that phone, just phone up Childline, and nobody needs to know about it. Thank you for that, Anna. Anna, back to what you were saying about the volunteers. I wrote a letter to Esther Ranson about 4 or 5 years ago, and I told her my story. I've actually released a book, everyone's called Unbreakable, and it's available on Amazon. And it's my story of how I went through bullying, neglect, suffered racism. And I wrote to Esther Ranson, I told her my story. And I said to her, how can I help? And she said to me that, Jag, you can help us by being a school's volunteer, by going to schools and speaking to children about anti-bullying, neglect, abuse. And guys, I joined, and I did it for many years, and I got to speak to hundreds and hundreds of children, and it was so fulfilling. And I would advise everyone out there who has got some spare time to contribute towards Childline. Anna, what kind of hours are available, or what kind of times, or what kind of positions are available at the moment? I know you spoke about it before as well, but I just want to get that message out again, please.
Yeah, absolutely. The hours, what we ask for a volunteer is 3.5 hours a week, basically. And as I say, there's a choice of ways that volunteers can respond to young people, because not everybody is confident speaking on the phone. We know that. So, we can train volunteers to answer emails, or respond to one-to-one chats. As I say, 3.5 hours a week. If you can do more, then that's absolutely fantastic. We don't expect volunteers to come in every day, because obviously we have to look after our own well-being as well. So we do quite a lot of supervision and support with volunteers. But it's 24/7. We have a night service. It's not operating at the minute, but our volunteers do work 24/7, and it's 3.5 hour per shift, as we call it, in the bases across the country.
I mean, I also found that when I was working as a volunteer for the NSPCC and Childline, I found that the people I was working with were very flexible. For example, because obviously I had young children, if I couldn't make a certain date, we would swap, and someone else would just jump to it. And that's what I found very satisfying as well, because obviously sometimes we have things that turn up, we're not feeling well or whatever.
Absolutely.
I found it very flexible, and it was like my time when I could do it. I'd let Childline know, or NSPCC know, and they'd say, okay, fine, well, can you do it on this stand? And the calendar system, that I found that great. We just go in there, put your name in. So, guys, It's all just about picking up a phone. You can help Childline by just picking up the phone. And the training I found the training was so good. It was amazing. I was surrounded by these so positive people and who wanted to make a change. I mean, the training. Tell me a bit more about the training, please, Anna.
It's You're right. It's absolutely fantastic, the training, because obviously we understand that you're volunteering to support and listen and hear young people talking about lots and lots of different issues. So we want to make sure that we're giving and responding to children appropriately. Our training courses are usually around about 12 weeks, and we do expect it's every week to come into a training session with 2 trained supervisors and maybe another paid member of staff. And during that time, we go through all the issues, all the safeguarding, bullying, health, abuse, all the different types of abuse. We train all the volunteers in responding, hearing what the young person is saying. The other thing that was really, really important as well for anyone who's thinking of volunteering for Childline is that we fully understand how sometimes it can be quite scary to come into a counselling room and respond to young people. But what we always say and what we do, which is absolutely amazing, is we support volunteers 100%. We never ever expect a volunteer on their own if the risk is very high. Our supervisors will be alongside you all the time. We don't expect volunteers to take responsibility if a young person is talking about extremely vulnerable situation. Volunteers have support all the time when they're in the counselling room. They have a debrief afterwards, after the shift, because it's really important to let go, because young people come with many different issues. Sometimes, suicidal, maybe. Sometimes we have to phone emergency services if that is the case, and we don't want anybody to go home carrying that responsibility. So we have a debrief, so we can say, okay, let's take some deep breaths. Let's talk about how we're feeling, so that when you go home, you feel a lot more calmer, a lot more safer, and you feel that you've been supported throughout the shift. And then you want to come back again and help more young people, because that's really important. So the support system that we have around volunteers is absolutely amazing.
And it is, and I've actually lived there. I've actually been there, and everything you said is 100% there, because I constantly had a
Yeah.
supervisor who was helping with me and supporting me along the way. Back to the child, Anna. Can you give
Yep.
me a few examples of phone calls that you get from children who need support? Just a few examples, please.
Absolutely. I mean, for instance, currently we're getting a lot of contacts from young people who are feeling quite anxious about going back to school.
Yes.
They haven't been there for such a long time. We've got young people telling us that, for instance, their parents haven't got the money to buy them their school uniforms. They want to go back and see their friends. They've not seen them for so long, and yet they're not, wearing the uniforms that, all their friends are wearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not sure, what it's going to be like when they step back into the building. The class is not the same as it used to be. Have they fallen behind with the work while they've been at home? So there's lots and lots of different, issues. The other issues that we're getting at the moment as well is, young people have been feeling very isolated. They've spent an awful lot of time at home, where there might be some discord, just arguments, with families, because the lockdown has caused a lot of anxiety and stress, and young people have been experiencing that as well, and that can be quite frightening. And it's even more scary if you don't know who to talk to, if you don't know who to say, look, I'm really scared, I'm worried. So coming to Childline and talking about that, the first step is having that conversation. So we're getting lots of calls about feeling isolated, missing friends, going back to school. we're also getting lots of phone calls about what is happening with COVID-19. What is it? Can you please explain it? Is it ever going to go away? There's lots of questions that young people, they want in their language. They want it explained in a very simplistic way, in a way that they want to understand. Sometimes adults might not know the answers to questions. Hello, sorry about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I had a,
yeah, that's okay, that's okay.
yeah. Sorry that. As I say, sometimes parents don't know all the answers, and I think it's quite okay for a parent to say, "Look, do you know something? I don't know. Let's go and explore it together." But young people can also come to the website and ask a question. We've got lots of information on the website as well. But yes, lots of different issues. Lots of young people are also quite struggling because they've been used to lots of health services, mental health service, looking after children's well-being. In the lockdown, those services haven't been available as well. So, that support hasn't been there for young people. So we do get quite a lot of calls about people feeling really anxious, feeling very depressed, and as I mentioned before, feeling suicidal. So it's really important that we are there so that we can listen to what young people are saying, and try to, listen, try to calm down, and offer them a space to talk, and also, offer them other agencies that might be available to them. So to give them that reassurance that, they can come, they can talk, we can support them, we can listen to them. But, there are people out there that we might be able to signpost them to as well while they're waiting for their support system to come back up and ready to receive them again.
I mean, because you're right, because this is a time, I mean, where Childline have been, all the years that Childline has been running, they've received the calls on bullying, neglect. I mean, this is a different kettle of fish because it's brought on like you said, children have been isolated. And this has caused a lot of issues around them. There's been arguments at home where children have been calling in. So during my lifetime, and our lifetime, this has never happened before. And it's great to know that organisations like Childline have been geared up with other networks to support these children
Yeah,
because I mean it's been hard for them. It has been hard for them. I know it's been hard for the parents as well, but it's hard for the children
yeah.
because
I
they've been
think I think Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry.
I think what we have to realise is what we always say is this is a child's world. It isn't our world. It's the child's world, and this is what Childline is about. It's listening to a young person, listening to them in their language, understanding how they're feeling. It's not about us. We're adults. We've had experiences. We've had training. And we've might experienced many different things. But young people, sometimes it can be the first time they're experiencing something, and in their world, it's very scary. And they're worried. And sometimes a little thing can be so huge to them because it's something they've never experienced before, or they might not have anybody to talk to about it. Parents, they're not listening, they're busy, they've got their own things to do. And we hear that all the time. Young people are feeling isolated, they're feeling really scared, they don't want the parents to know that they're worried about something. And it could be something, just, I don't know how to tell my mum that I'm worried. I don't know how to tell them that I'm feeling scared. So it's just about, okay, let's sit back, let's have a look, let's see if we can start a conversation. What would you like to say? Whoever you want to talk to, and we can start preparing a conversation. And that, sometimes that's the first step. Having a conversation. How do you start it? And we'll support young people that way.
Okay, excellent. And I wish I could talk to you. We can go on about this further because it's an amazing job that you guys are doing out there. So I'd like to thank you so much for coming on Positive Minds today. And this is Positive Minds, and the message I'm sending out there to everyone, and Anna and Childline, is do not suffer in silence. Help is available. Pick up that phone, speak to those school
Yeah.
counsellors, and do not suffer in silence. Thank you for joining me today, everyone, on Positive Minds on the Seek
Welcome.
channel. Keep yourself motivated and inspired. And thank you, Anna, for coming on today. Thank you. Cheers.